John is a man of focus, commitment, sheer will. Something you know very little about. I once saw him kill 3 men in a bar with a pencil. With a fucking pencil.
Stop for a second. Look at your hands. Are they the hands of a man who can protect what he loves, or are they just tools for scrolling through other people's lives?
I watch YouTube and I make TikTok videos for my friends, like the dances that people do. Sometimes I do that on TikTok.
Here is a cold, hard truth that your parents and your teachers were too afraid to tell you. The world doesn't reward good men. It rewards dangerous men who have their darkness under control. Most of you watching this are harmless. You think you're being a saint, but you're actually just a victim in waiting. You're the guy who says sorry when someone else cuts him in line. You're the guy who smiles when he's being insulted because he's terrified of the silence that follows a conflict. You've traded your soul for a nice guy badge that isn't worth the plastic it's made of. But what if I told you that the very darkness you've been told to suppress, your aggression, your ambition, your cold precision, is the only thing that can actually make you free? If you click away now, go back to being a good boy. Go back to being the background noise in someone else's success story. But if you feel that predator waking up inside you, if you're tired of being the sheep that everyone likes but nobody respects, then stay. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to kill the nice guy and build a man that the world is forced to take seriously. Welcome to the Machiavellian Protocol. This is the autopsy of your weakness. Let's start with a reality check that's going to hurt a little. Friedrich Nietzsche, the man who stared into the abyss until the abyss started asking for his autograph, once said, "The lion's highest virtue is to be dangerous." He wasn't talking about biting people in the street. He was talking about the capacity for mayhem. If you are incapable of being a monster, then your peace is not a virtue, it's just a lack of options. You aren't peaceful, you're just toothless. A rabbit isn't virtuous for not eating a wolf, it's just a rabbit. To be truly good, you must first be capable of total destruction, and then choose to keep that power under voluntary control. This is what we call the integrated shadow. If you spend your life avoiding conflict because you're nice, you're actually just a slave to your own fear. You're like a person who claims they're on a diet because they're broke and can't afford food. That's not discipline, that's just poverty of the soul. The first sign that you are crossing the threshold into danger is the death of the approval junkie. Look at the average man. He is a walking billboard for other people's opinions. He dresses for the crowd, speaks for the applause, and shrinks for the critics. He is an emotional concierge, constantly checking the room to see if everyone is happy. It's exhausting, isn't it? As you become dangerous, you develop a strategic cruelty. Now, don't get me wrong, this doesn't mean you become a jerk. It means you stop setting yourself on fire to keep other people warm. You stop managing other people's emotions. If someone is offended by your truth, that's their internal weather, not your responsibility. Niccolò Machiavelli, the godfather of power dynamics, wrote that it is much safer to be feared than loved. Why? Because love is a fickle contract that people break the moment it's convenient. But respect, born from the knowledge that you have boundaries and teeth, that is a currency that never devalues. You start saying no without offering a 20-minute PowerPoint presentation on why you're busy. You realize that no is a complete sentence. And the moment you do that, the parasites in your life will start calling you changed or cold. What they really mean is you've become harder to use. Congratulations, you're becoming a sovereign. Now let's talk about the emotional 0 point. The modern world is a giant poke machine. It pokes you with news, pokes you with social media, and pokes you with toxic people just to see how you'll jump. Most men are reactive. They are like exposed nerves. Someone cuts them off in traffic and they act like their ancestors were insulted in a blood feud. A woman doesn't text back and they spiral into an existential crisis. They are puppets, and everyone holds their strings. But as you become dangerous, you develop a gap, a silence between the stimulus and the response. Viktor Frankl, who survived the darkest places humanity ever created, said, Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. You are finding that space. You've become the fox that Machiavelli loved, the one who recognizes the traps before they snap. People try to guilt trip you, and you just look at them with the blank stare of a statue. They try to shame you, and you agree with them just to watch them lose their leverage. You're being very selfish lately, they say. You respond, You're right, I am.
Selfish.
And then, silence. That silence is a vacuum that sucks the power out of every manipulator in the room. You aren't numb, you're just airtight. You treat your emotions like a dashboard in a high-performance car. If a light blinks red, you note it. You don't jerk the steering wheel into a ditch. This brings us to the desacralization of the world. As a boy, you put people on pedestals. You thought your father was a god, your boss was a genius, and the woman you loved was an angel sent from the heavens. But as the dangerous man wakes up, gravity takes over. The pedestals shatter. You see your heroes for what they are. Flawed, insecure biological organisms winging it just like everyone else. You look at the institutions you trusted, the governments, the corporations, the influencers, and you see the gangsters in nice robes that Machiavelli described. This isn't cynicism, it's maturity. When you take someone off a pedestal, you can finally negotiate with them. You realize that you cannot fight a god, but you can outmaneuver a man. This is especially true in the game of desire. The simp worships, and because he worships, he is invisible. The dangerous man respects, but he never worships. He sees the woman as a human being with her own shadows and flaws. Paradoxically, this is the only thing that makes him truly attractive. He is the only man she's met who doesn't need her permission to feel real. He is a stranger in the sense of Albert Camus, detached enough to see the game, but engaged enough to play it to win. But let's get into the heavy stuff, weaponized silence. We live in the era of the broadcast. Everyone is screaming their plans, their grind, and their breakfast to a world that doesn't care. They think attention is power. It isn't. Attention is a target. The dangerous man works in the dark. He is a void. He has stopped trauma dumping on the internet. He has stopped telling people his next move. Why? Because information is the ammunition you give your enemies. Machiavelli knew that everyone sees what you appear to be, but few experience what you really are. You've become an enigma. While everyone else is busy manifesting on Instagram, you are in the lab, in the gym, or in the office building something massive in total silence. This silence makes people uneasy. It triggers their projections. They wonder what you're up to. They wonder what you know. You've realized that you don't need the dopamine hit of a like to validate your work. You have a secret fire burning inside, and you don't want to let the heat escape through your mouth. Silence is the incubator of greatness. Noise is the funeral of ambition. And then there is the monster in the mirror. You've stopped apologizing for your masculinity. The modern world wants men to be soft, pliable, and manageable. They want you to be a golden retriever, happy, obedient, and easily distracted by a tennis ball. But you've started lifting heavy iron. You've started learning how to fight, not because you want to hurt people, but because you need to know the exact weight of your own hand. There is a profound psychological shift that happens when a man knows he can end a physical confrontation in seconds. He becomes calmer. He stops posturing. He stops acting tough. Only the Chihuahua barks at everything. The Great Dane just watches. This is the integration of the shadow that Carl Jung obsessed over. You've looked at your capacity for aggression, your selfishness, and your pride, and instead of suppressing them, you've yoked them to your chariot. Your anger is now the fuel for your 4 a.m. workouts. Your pride is now the standard for the quality of your work. You haven't killed the monster. You've just put him on a leash. And a trained monster is the most useful ally a man will ever have. The final threshold is ruthless prioritization. Most men are leaky vessels. They waste their souls on sports teams that don't know they exist, arguments with strangers on the internet, and doom scrolling through the lives of people they don't even like. They are committing suicide by increments, but you've developed a prince's economy. You are obsessed with ROI, return on investment, for your soul. Before you engage in anything, you ask, does this make me stronger or does it make me a sheep? If the answer is the latter, you cut it with surgical precision. You've become boring to average people. They ask if you've seen the latest celebrity scandal and you say no. They think you're missing out. You know they are the ones missing out on their own lives. You are a sniper now. No wasted movement, no wasted words, no wasted emotion. You are realizing that every hour you spend being mediocre is an hour you stole from the man you were meant to be. This path is lonely. Sovereignty always is. As you climb, the air gets thinner and the crowd gets smaller. You will lose friends, or rather, you will lose the people who are only friends with your ghost version. You will realize that you don't need a group to validate your reality. You are the sun, you have your own gravity. Others can orbit you, they can feel your warmth, but you do not depend on them to shine. You've accepted the sign number 0. The price of power is that you can never go back to sleep. You can never unsee the strings. You can never go back to the naive bliss of being a good boy. You are a dangerous man now. You are a protector, a strategist, and a king of your own mind. The desert of the Majnun was where he found his madness, but it's also where he found his truth. So if you felt this shift, if you felt the nice guy dying inside you, don't fight it. Let him go. He was a cage. He was a lie. Stand up, breathe in the cold air of your own freedom, and realize that for the first time in your life, you are actually here. You are seen. You are formidable, and you are just getting started. If this spoke to the monster you're training, then you know what to do. Join the architect level. Step into the abyss where the sheep are afraid to go. Because the world doesn't need more harmless men. It has plenty. It needs shepherds with teeth. I am no longer invisible. I am no longer harmless. I am dangerous.